in the way it is now, we have the multiple bids, and a lot of times the winning bid will be the deposit will be paid, upon acceptance or upon, within one business day or 24 hours of subject or of accepted offer. And what's been happening lately is that when the winning bid is set up for within 24 hours, the deposits to be paid within 24 hours of accepted offer, the buyer backs out within those 24 hours and doesn't provide the realtor with that deposit money. And we've been going back and forth on that one there, where we've been the seller and we've accepted the offer, and the deposit was supposed to be paid within 24 hours. And then the buyer said to the buyer's agent, no, I don't have it. I'm not coming up with it. There's a problem. So here we've told everybody that they've lost, and now we're into it for 100 grand, and he's not paying 100 grand, and they're trying to back out. And so we get in this conundrum there, on both sides of that. We've had that happen to our buyer's agent as well, where their client backed out on them. So we've been on both sides of the fence there. So we got into that, my opinion on my position on that for both ends was, from the seller's point of view, yes, you can sue them, and you can sue them for the $100,000 or losses or whatever. But the chances of getting that, all of litigation and paying all that, it's just a waste of time. You're better off to get it back on the market and get those guys back that were in the bidding thing, and try and get another offer on the table and move forward. But from the buyer's end of it, you want a release from the buyer that initially put the offer in, to release the property so you don't sell it twice, kind of thing. So that's the kind of conundrum we've been running into on both ends of that. And I've been told, don't give them a release from a buyer's point of view, because it jeopardizes the buyer and it compromises their legal position. But from a realtor's point of view, we just want to move on. And we've had here where somebody showed up with a letter from a lawyer. Our buyer backed out. They didn't come up with the money. They backed out. I told our guy to just give them a release and say, look, we're not buying it. Go ahead and sell it and mitigate the damage. And then it came back that, well, we shouldn't have done that because it compromises the buyer's legal position. But in which case it would have tied up the property even longer, because it's not clear whether or not that they bought it in. But what if they change their mind a day later and say, well, I could have had my deposit within reasonable time. I couldn't get it in 24 hours. I got it in 48. Now I want to close. In the meantime, they sold it again. So maybe talk a little bit about that little conundrum there. I'm sure you've run into that one.
Well, we have, and you're right. If I've made an offer and it's been accepted, and I've got 24 or 48 hours to make the deposit, and I don't do it, I'm in breach of contract. Now, you guys we talked about this on one of the other meetings, something called time of the essence. Your real estate contracts always contain this clause called time is of the essence, which means that the time is strictly interpreted by the courts, whether it's by the day or by the hour even. And so when someone says they're going to give you the deposit within 24 hours and they don't do it, then if I'm a seller, then I can just terminate the contract. And that's what I would do. If I want to get rid of this guy, say, fine, here's a letter, you're terminated, you didn't deposit the money with my realtor, this contract's over. Now, whether that guy's going to give you a release or not later, that's immaterial. You can't make him do it. As far as I'm concerned, in a case like that, the contract's over. You've terminated it. You've taken your rights under the contract, and then you can just move on, sell it to somebody else. But if you don't do anything, let's say the 24 hours comes and goes, and you're still sitting there and you haven't done anything, and the other guy shows up 48 hours later with the check, I think you got a problem. Because you, by not enforcing your strict deadlines under the contract, you've basically waived, by your conduct, you waived that time of the essence clause. And so you're saying, well, I don't like it, you're in breach, but I'm not gonna say anything about it. Let's just sit and see what happens. And then the guy shows up with the money, I think you're stuck taking it. So you have to advise your client when somebody's in breach, you talk to your client or say, talk to your lawyer and figure out, what do you want to do? Do you want to terminate it? Do you want to give the guy more time? Do you want to just do nothing? But whatever you do has legal consequences.
So you should rescind the offer right away
Absolutely.
and say you're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
It's just the same idea when the subject conditions lapse. Okay, so you're supposed to take off the subject to financing by today and you don't do it. Okay, the contract's lapse, it's dead. Okay, so you can go sell the property to somebody else if you want. Sure, do you want to get a release from the other guy? Everybody likes releases, but people aren't always cooperative when about handing over releases, especially if they have a lawyer. So the point is, every time you breach a contract, there's consequences. But it's up to you, the person who's the aggrieved party, to do something. If you do nothing, like I said, there's a good argument you're waiving the time of the essence clause, and then somebody's going to show up a week later, oh, I got a better offer, but now the other guy showed up with his check. Now you've got a bit of a problem because you didn't take action at the time.
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, all right. So yeah, that's a little bit about the multiple offers, and we'll see how that changes in March. That'd be pretty interesting to see, you know, about the rescind period, because that changes the whole deal.
Oh, absolutely. That just throws so much uncertainty into the way you guys do business and the way you can represent your clients. I think it'll do more harm than good if they go. Something tells me they're just going to go do it, regardless of what anyone says. But you know, that's this particular government we have here. They know best, and you guys are in the field doing the work all the time, but you don't know anything about real estate, but the government does.
Well, let me ask one question here, Klaus. You know, in Toronto there. Don't they have a transparent bidding system or something? What's going on in Toronto? How do they do it there?
You just have to register the offers. So if you submit an offer to an office, you register your offer with that office. So I can call in and I can see online how many offers are registered against that property. So you know
you just know how many bids there are.
Yeah, you know how many, but you don't know what they are.
Yeah, okay, so it's similar to here. We got to I'll tell you how many offers I got usually. I'll say, look, I got 5 guys. You're you know, make your best.
Yeah, the problem is that in BC you can lie about it, right? I mean, I've had realtors before where, you know, there's been the place has been on the market for, you know, 4 or 5 months, and all of a sudden they've got 10 offers. Like, give me a break, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, here it's so you register your offer, and then if you have the right to actually get paperwork which proves that they have those offers.
And I think that's about where we should be here, and that's as far as we should go. That's fair. Sorry, Ken, we're going to talk about a couple of things here. We had what was it here? We're going to talk about referential offers.
Okay, so referential offers are not that common for you guys, but your real estate board does have a clause for referential offers. And in case you don't know what they are, especially in a world of multiple bids, a referential offer is just an offer that refers to something else, or in this case, to another offer. So the board has a suggested clause, which basically says, the purchase price is $1,000 above the price offered in the nearest competing bona fide offer acceptable to the seller, to a maximum of some particular amount. So in other words, what you're doing when you make a referential offer, you're saying, well, just in case there's a higher bid than me, I will beat that bid by, let's say, $1,000 or $5,000. So the board suggests that you put in a maximum in any event. So you say, I would go above the highest offer up to a maximum, let's say, of $2 million if that was your highest potential bid. So the idea by doing that would be that your bid, somebody comes in at 1.7 and you get it for 1.7 plus 5,000 without actually having to go back and forth and make a bunch of different bids. Now, the reason the board doesn't push this is there's some case law out of Britain, and there's some BC Court of Appeal case somewhere here that says they don't like referential offers. Referential offers, they say, are really not valid. And the reason is the argument is they can't stand alone. So in other words, if I say to you, I will buy your property for $1 million, I will buy your property for $5,000 more than the best offer out there, even if I put a maximum in up, say up to $1.5 million, but there's no other offers ever made, then my offer is useless, because I've said I'll beat the highest offer by $5,000, but there isn't any. And that's why the court doesn't like referential offers, and that's why the board discourages you guys from using their own clause, which they've actually got on their system. But it's easy to fix. All you'd have to do is say, my offer is $1,500,000. But in the event that the vendor receives a competing bona fide offer that's higher than $1.5 million, then my offer will be $5,000 higher than that, up to a maximum amount, say, of $2 million. So you fix the problem, the court issue. It's not a big deal to fix that. But what you're saying is basically, here's my offer. So if you're going to use a referential offer, you'd make a reasonable offer. So let's say you think this place is worth 1.5, and it's a busy market. You say, let's put an offer in at 1.6, and that would be what you would consider a reasonable offer. So you put in your clause, my offer is 1.6, but then you add on, well, if there's a better offer, bona fide offer, I will beat that offer up by $5,000 up to a maximum of, let's say, 1.7. So if something comes in between 1.5, which is your offer, and 1.7, you're going to beat that offer by $5,000. So in that case, and also there's also a clause in there which says you get to see that other offer. So if the guy accepts your offer, let's say at 1.6, you say, okay, I need to see the offer at 1.595 just to make sure there really was one. So just like the gentleman was just talking close, well, was there really another offer? Or are you just trying to jack the price up on me? No, I get to see that other offer. Okay, so I get to see that there really truly was an offer higher than my original price of 1.5, and that's why I'm paying 1.6. So it's possible. I've seen a couple. Realtors are not familiar with these referential offers, so it doesn't mean that they would necessarily accept it. It's up to their client, the seller, to accept it or not. Can I ask you guys a question? If I present an offer through my realtor and it's a referential offer, do you have a duty to take it to your seller, or can you just go, nah, this is garbage, I don't know what this is, we're just not going to accept it?
No, we have to present all offers.
Okay.
Yeah, period. But we should, give them our opinion of that, in that it may be, if they didn't write it correctly, it may be void.
Right.
So that then in that case, for $5,000, I would accept. Let's say don't bother with it. Just take the highest offer, kind of thing.
Okay. Well, yeah, as I say, in this case, there's definitely wording that makes it not invalid. The board's version, which, like I said, that one is invalid, and that's why they don't suggest you use it. But it's easy enough to fix it up by putting in an actual offer first. So because of this, we're just talking about this bidding back and forth and in multiple offers. You may not get a chance to make another bid. So if there's 5 bids, it doesn't mean the vendor is going to go back to everybody and say, you can make another bid and I'll take the highest one tomorrow. That vendor might just pick the highest one. So in my example, my original offer is 1.5, but I'll go up to a maximum of 1.7. But it turns out the highest bid is 1.6. And so I have just beaten that guy by $5,000, and I'm going to get the property. So it's something I don't see a downside to it. I've had some realtors say to me, well, yeah, but then if I was the seller, I would know you would go to 1.7 because you just said that's your maximum. So why would I accept your offer? So, why would I even entertain this? But if the seller accepts that offer, though, my offer at 1.5 with this referential clause in it, and there is an offer at 1.6, and that's the best offer, then I've just bought the property at $1,600,000 and $5,000 on top of it. I'm the highest bidder. So again, it's something to think about. It's not common. I think in all these years, I think I've seen it twice. The last one we were going to make, and one of the realtors actually I know out in White Rock, he dug up these clauses for me from the board, and we just sort of modified them so that they actually work. And he made the offer to the other side, and the other realtor said, just like you said, Doug, this thing seems pokey. We don't, I don't know what it. They just wouldn't accept it. So the realtor talked the seller out of taking that referential offer. And interestingly enough, that particular property, this was 6 or 8 months ago, they didn't end up getting any good offers on the property. So, I mean, all of these strategies, whether it's referential offers, blind bidding, you know, list the price really low and hopefully get 10 people showing up on Saturday to bid. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So the thing that the government seems to be saying is, we can fix this. And you guys are in the market, you know, sometimes you can get a good result, sometimes it doesn't work, your strategy, and you got to try something else. So there's really no magic to any of these, like a referential offer or anything else. It's just what you think is best for your client. Are you going to get your clients the property if you're purchasing, or are you going to get a good price for your seller? So referential offer is just one extra little thing in the toolbox that you could try. And I'll be happy to send you, Doug, a proper clause that you can use that would actually not be invalid. So if you want to try it, go ahead. It might, you might wind up getting a property in a case like that. There's really no downside to the seller accepting it. The seller goes, okay, fine, I'll take your offer. I just know that I got $5,000 better than any other offer up to this maximum number. So if he's prepared to sell a property below, in my case, 1.7, what's the downside for the seller accepting that offer? Really not much. But I think you guys, sorry, go ahead.
So the seller could go back to that highest offer and say, you're the second highest or something, and then get them to come up, and then that referential offer will go up as well.
Yeah, up to the maximum that the referential offer has put in. Like in my case, it will say 1.7. It's not going above that. And the reason you put in a maximum is just in case some completely sort of strange person puts in a bid of 2 million, which is way over value, then you don't want to be stuck paying 5,000 more than that. So you always have to put a maximum number in, but you know, it's a possibility. You know, as I say, the board has a different way of, they're suggesting you don't do this, you make a counter offer back to the guy, but it's really not necessary. You just fix up the clause. I'm not saying it'll work. I'm saying you could try it if you want. I don't see a big downside making the offer. Whether the sellers, my guess would be the seller's realtor has never heard of it. And if he calls the board, he's going to say, "Oh, we've heard of this, but we don't like them." So you know, you may not get accepted, but
Yeah,
there isn't really a downside.
It's going to have a negative connotation, and it's just like when you write a subject-free offer that has nothing on the page, or you write an offer that has all the subjects on it and they're all crossed out, even though they're exactly the same. The clean one looks like a better offer. It's just psychological, and the same with this here. It may cost you the, you know, winning that, and just bid the whatever, you know, $1,650,000.
Right. I had another thought as well, because I immediately went to like, well, if I was a buyer, I would just lowball and put that clause in, which is a bad thing, probably.
Yeah, but if you put the clause in, you're still going to put a maximum price that you'd be prepared to pay. So like I said, if you put a really lowball offer in with this idea that you'll beat the best offer by $5,000, then you know, at some point, I guess if there's no other offers, then you know, your seller probably he's not going to be a happy guy, because you're right. If there was only one other offer and he was lousy as well, your seller's bound to accept your offer for $5,000 more than that one. So,
but it's up to the seller to accept.
Sorry?
If you put a lowball offer in with that clause, the seller can say, no, I'm not accepting that, and keep shopping the market to see if there's a better price coming their way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm just seeing a lot of things that are going to be work around it or something, you know, like there's, yeah.
But are you guys finding anybody's accepting lowball offers these days? I mean, that seems to me in a slow market that could happen, but this doesn't strike me too much like a slow market.
No, I was saying more like, you know, now people can go in just at a ridiculous, like, I don't know, I had an offer $100,000 under asking, and then they could add that clause in just to, so it's like they're trying to get it for cheaper, but they're willing to pay more. I'm just seeing it as a little bit of a negative spin that could happen.
Well, it could, but as I say, what realtors have pointed out to me is to say, well, but there's your maximum price. You say, I'm going to bid $1 million, but I would go up to $1.3 million because that's my maximum. Well, I said, well, okay, I'm just going to, no, I'm not accepting your offer, but I'll give you a counter offer back at $1.3 million, which is your maximum number, if the seller was prepared to take that maximum number. So again, it's just one more thing in the toolbox. It doesn't mean it's going to work. It doesn't mean it's not going to work. Sometimes you go, low ball. Sometimes you go what you think is reasonable, and then you find out someone else has gone way over that offer. But I think for you guys, if this cooling off period does come into effect, I think you're going to see a lot more backup offers, because you're going to say, okay, this guy's got his 5 days or 7 days to rescind the offer. Why wouldn't you accept backup offers then as a seller? Because you say, well, this isn't really a firm offer at this point. It's still in a rescission period. So you might see more backup offers if they bring this rescission period into existence. And we've had this discussion before, guys, if you remember, about backup offers and what can the seller do or not do. Well, there's a backup offer in place. And actually the seller can do quite a bit. The seller can extend the dates, the seller can extend the kind of subject removal dates and whatnot. So how you fix that is you put that into your backup offer saying, no, you can't. The seller can't change anything about the original offer. And if it just comes and goes, it comes and goes, and then your backup offer kicks in. So you don't wait for the court or some legal opinion to tell you what you can or can't do, what the original seller can or can't do. You put it in your backup offer. You say you can't change anything. So that fixes that problem, because I've probably said this before, but I get calls once a month or twice a month from some realtor or more their mortgage or their managing broker saying there's a backup offer. Can the seller do this? Can the seller do that? The case law is pretty clear. The seller can do quite a bit with the original buyer without breaching of terms of a backup offer. But you can fix that by putting the terms in the backup offer that you want. One of those terms would be the seller agrees not to change anything about the original offer. So he's stuck with the original date. He's stuck with the original price. He's stuck with the original subject removal terms because he's accepted your backup offer.
So that means no extending the subject removal period, for example.
That's right. You've put that in your backup offer. You said, no, you can't do that. And if he's accepted that as a backup, he's stuck. He's just tied his hands on his own first offer. And that means you've got some certainty. And that's definitely the way to go, because most people have an erroneous belief that the seller can't do any of those things because you've got a backup offer in place. Well, without those additional clauses, yes, he can.
Well, that's going to be important coming if this rescission period comes in and we start doing these backups. That's something that we're going to put in all of our backup offers.
Yeah, 100%, because you want certainty. You said, okay, you've got an offer in place. If that offer falls apart, I'm buying it, okay, because you've accepted my offer. But I don't want you extending the dates, and I don't want you giving the guy additional time. That's why I made a backup offer. So yeah, and again, if I haven't sent you those, Michael and Doug, I'll send you those clauses as well to throw into a backup offer, because that could become more of a thing.
I'm just going to take a step back on these referential offers. If I seen, as a listing agent, if I seen a referential offer coming in, and like you said, Ken, I don't have to accept it as is with $5,000 over. When he's got a maximum of $1,750,000 or $700,000, whatever it was, I would probably counter that guy directly back and go with his maximum.
Yeah,
take it or leave it, regardless of what the other offers are.
Totally.
Yeah, so I mean that's your chess game that you're playing. So everything's negotiable.
But you see, that's my point. That's where you guys' skill comes in as a realtor. You're playing a chess match with the other realtor on the other side, and you know what the conditions are. You know what the market is. You know how many bids are out there, and you got to make your best guess for your client. And that's the thing that I feel the government has no skill, no experience, no knowledge, no business acumen about buying and selling real estate. This is the funniest thing, that they think somebody sitting in a tower at UBC or Sauder School of Business, or some bureaucrat in Victoria thinks they know more about real estate buying and selling than you do. It's shocking to me.
Yeah, well, it could cost
another
them
thing.
you know, they've been talking about a bubble for a long time, and this could be, you know, the straw. And if that happens, we won't have the same government the next time around, I'll tell you that.
Well, hopefully not. But you know, the idea of a bubble, guys, I mean, this is I keep hearing this. I've been hearing this since 2001, that we're in a real estate bubble. But if you look at what the situation is, the supply and the demand, how many people want to move to the lower mainland from Canada and from the rest of the world? I would say more or less an unlimited amount of people. And how much can you build here? I mean, you know, you can make more and more towers, but at some point you run out of space. So you know, it's just hard to say this is a bubble. Well, it's only a bubble if it's false. But I mean, there's a huge amount of demand for housing from all across the country and basically all around the world. So how could the prices ever really substantially go down?
Well, there's, I mean, you could say that at any time in history, but you know, prices have gone down regardless of where you are, what you're doing, what city you're in. They've gone down.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
usually for an external reason. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if the Feds jack up the interest rates by 2 or 3 points, that's gonna knock the prices down. But eventually, they'll go back up again unless BC becomes an undesirable place to live. And I hope that never happens. But
well, we're cut off now, Ken. We're an island now, so who knows? We can't get anything in. We can't get anything out. We're stuck.
that's true.
All good, all good. Maybe we should talk a little bit about these listings and not referential listings, but contingent listings.
Okay, I'm sorry. What do you mean by contingent
Well, a contingent listing is where we're not allowed to do one where you say, look, we're going to list your property at $1.7 million, and I can get anything over $1.7 million is my commission. So if I sell it for $1.8 million, I get $100,000. If I sell it for $1.9 million, I get $200,000.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. What does the board say about that?
No, it's illegal.
Okay. Well,
So
I think
can't do that.
I think it's a conflict of interest. If you're
But I can't put it this way. If we sell it for $1.6 million, I get $200,000 commission regardless. But if it's listed at $1.6 million and I say, okay, we list it low, but if I said I'm going to get 200,000 commission, I sold it for $1.8 million or whatever. If I put the number in there, that's the difference. If I have a fixed number, not over and above a number, if that makes any sense to you.
Okay, but I guess my question is if you're saying the board won't allow you to do it, then I'm not sure what the issue is.
Well, here's the issue. Let's say, and I've seen this happen in commercial deals. Commercials are a little different. It was a golf course. The golf course, the guy wanted 10 million for it. The guy knew he had a buyer in his back pocket from offshore for 12 million. He wrote his commission in at 2 million. But he wrote the contract wrong. It was anything over 10 million. He was to get as his commission. And the difference was if he would have wrote the contract that and he knew he had a buyer for 12 million, if he would have wrote his commission in as I'm going to sell it for 10, my commission is 2 million, or at least 10 or whatever, would have listed it at 12 and taken 2 million commission, he would have been fine. But he wrote the listing at 10 and he gets anything over 10 and he took 2 million. Either way, he got $2 million, but he did it wrong.
Well, yeah, that I agree. Then he didn't write the contract properly. But it seems to me that if you were to, even if the board was to allow you to do these, what you're talking about is if I get over 10, I'm gonna get the difference. I mean, as I say, that's almost a conflict of interest because you should be listing the property for what you think it's worth, and obviously at some point in time your commission becomes really almost untenable. What if you sold
that's what that was?
Million?
$2 million was crazy.
Right.
So
I must say I haven't run across a contingent listing situation in my practice so far.
Yeah, well, that's probably good. All right, well, I just wanted to kind of bring that up for everybody. Those are some of the questions they had this week and going forward. And thanks, Ken, for coming in and straighten some things out.
Ken,
Does anybody
Can I
else
ask-
have any questions?
I do. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay, so going back to what Robbie was kind of saying about, well, if you get 2 offers and then you go back to the first offer that doesn't have the differential and you say, do you want to try again? You know, automatically, like Robbie was saying, the other one's still higher. So then if the clause that we're writing in says, well, you have to show me the other party's offer, does then that open up to being able to show your offer to the other party? Like, does that kind of interchange the privacy of it then? And then on that note as well, how much are we allowed to disclose about offers?
Well, I think to me that, well, how much could you disclose about another, but somebody else's offer would be between you and your client. If you're the listing realtor and you have your seller, you have 2 offers on the table. It seems to me you could get instructions from your seller to disclose the price of the other offer if you wanted to. Otherwise, you're back to this blind bidding kind of thing. But keep in mind, if you go back to one of those people who made an offer and say, can you sharpen your pencil because we got a better offer, but I'm not going to tell you what it is, then you're making a counter offer and that person can walk away. So every time you make a counter offer, the other side can just walk. And that's why you have to be careful about these things when you have a firm offer on the table and you go back and say, well, I need, you got to do something better than that. Then effectively you're countering that guy or saying, well, we're not accepting your offer. And therefore the guy could walk away. Now, maybe in this market, you don't care. Nobody's going to walk away. But this is something you have to be careful about when you're
But if you're doing it.
So in terms of these referential offers, so if someone accepts it, so I think as Michael suggested, the guy might not accept it. He might just counter you back and say, I'll just counter you back at your maximum that you were going to put in your referential offer. So take it or leave it. Same thing though, he's countered it back. That means he's rejected my referential offer. My offer is now off the table again. So you guys go back and forth, when you change the price and you go back and forth 2 or 3 times, every time you change one of those offers and thereby making a counter offer, the other guy can just walk away. Like there's no.
Right, but if you're not doing it, if you're doing it verbally, like for instance, okay, so say you put in an offer and say Mike puts in an offer and your offer has a differential on it. I go back to Mike and I say, hey, Mike, there's another offer, but they've got a differential. So if my seller says, yeah, go ahead and disclose that, I've got a differential. And then Mike says, okay, well, if I go up 50K, will I be the highest offer? I can say no. So then if I go up 100K, will I be the highest offer? Maybe. And then now all of a sudden I've jacked the price up, but I haven't committed to anything. But like, can I, like what I'm saying is, actually, what am I saying? Okay, I guess I got my answer by going, the seller can give me permission, essentially, right?
Yeah, when in doubt, you should always check with your seller, always get instructions from your seller. If you think it's something a little bit dicey, you can talk to obviously Michael or Doug. But in terms of, it's hard to go wrong when you're disclosing stuff to your seller and saying, this is the situation. Should we try this strategy to get you a better price? Where you can get in trouble is when you just go ahead and do it and the seller doesn't know about it, or maybe the seller doesn't think that's a good idea. The seller is your client and you're the agent for, in this case, my example, the seller. So I would disclose that to the seller and say, this is a strategy we'd like to try. What do you think? And if he gives you instructions, yeah, go do it, unless there's some real estate rule from the board that says you can't do it. And
just one thing on that, Ken, get those instructions in writing, an email or something, just FYI.
Yeah, no, email's great because you got the written record, because people are always saying, well, I didn't say that. I didn't authorize you to do that. Email's perfect.
Yeah, great.
Okay, guys, well, it was pleasure seeing you guys for the last 4 weeks. I'll be back at another point in time, and I hope you guys all stay well, and thanks for the opportunity to chat with everyone.
We hope to see you at a Christmas party, I think, there. So
okay.
On a social thing, we'll buy you a drink, or Mike will buy you a drink.
I'll buy you 4.
Sounds good.
All good.
All right.
Thanks. Hey,
Good to see you.
well, everyone.
Thank you, sir.